Hey, what's up, everybody? Welcome back to another episode of the Liquid Lunch Project. I am Matthew R. Meehan, alongside my partner, the professor, Luigi Rosabianca. What's on tap today, Lou?
Matt, today we're going to have a lot of fun, but I have to lay out the ground rules. You have to promise me throughout this episode, no potty jokes. You got to keep your mind out of the gutter, and we're going to keep this episode clean. Because today on the podcast, we have David Sauers. David Sauers is the founder and CEO of Royal Restrooms. Royal Restrooms is basically revolutionizing the game of the Porta-Potty. You'd go to an event and you're spending hundreds of dollars on a ticket and you're wearing your Sunday best, and all of a sudden you got to go into a dirty, grimy Porta-Potty. No longer. We now have Royal Restrooms. David, welcome to the podcast.
Guys, I appreciate y'all having me on.
What gave you this idea? What was the brainchild behind Royal Restrooms?
So that's kind of a crazy story. You know, a lot of businesses start out and you don't mean for it to happen, but it does. And one crazy day, we were at a Shakespeare in the Park festival in Savannah, Georgia, and I took my two children to a Porta-Potty, and one of them happened to be potty training. Entering the Porta-Potty, I'm sitting there trying to figure out exactly what's going on. I turn around, my daughter has got her hands on the seat, and all of a sudden I go into panic mode. Like, okay, where do I go? I can't move around. I'm starting to get nervous. I open the door. I hand my smaller child out to this patron waiting in line, and I'm just still in this panic mode. Hold my daughter Stella up over the toilet. I reach out with my foot to open the door to make sure that I can still see my other one, and all of a sudden I get this warm sensation on my leg. I am now, just getting peed on. And so I go from nervous to just pissed off. Like, this is crazy. Why are we at such a nice event and I'm going through this? There's no lights on. There's nowhere to clean up. So we leave. And out of that, I go and measure my half bath downstairs and form out a plan. I'm like, why can't we just put a real functioning restroom on a trailer? And after sitting there for a little while, thinking on this and just my life kind of consumes me, I start discussing it with my business partner now, Robert Glisson, and we make it happen. We build out Royal Restrooms from there. And here we are. That was 22 years ago.
Now, David, I don't know where to start. We have so many questions to ask you. I mean, do you start with the manufacturing? Do you start with contacting the venues? Do you start with creating the infrastructure? Because someone's got to pump these things out. I mean, where do you begin?
Well, we just started looking at, the first thing is that we looked at is comfort. What is this going to meet the needs from the problem that I have? Are we able to walk in? Are we able to have a family in there? Am I able to set my drink down? Am I able to, what's going to make me comfortable in a bathroom that would be on a trailer? And so we started building it from that aspect. And then we started looking at boats. We started looking at RVs. How are all these things done? And the trailer size started to indicate how much waste holding capacity that we could store in there. Then we started to look at axles from, the weight of the axles. And it all came together based on look and feel. And Robert's an engineer, so the numbers started to work out correctly. And around this time, we went to a lot of different manufacturing companies, and they just kind of laughed at us. One in particular, though, Wells Cargo was building a tailgate trailer for their owner up there in Elkhart, Indiana. And so they already had some of these same similar concepts that we were looking at. So we basically built out a restroom trailer from that standpoint. And it wasn't rocket science. We didn't have everything perfected. We just did it. And from that standpoint, then we tried to figure out how to market it. We figured if we liked it, we're in Savannah, we still have our regular jobs. If it doesn't work out, we write it off. But it for a long time, people laughed at us. They said that we were crazy going into the porta-potty business. But you know what? Every time somebody sat their butt down on that toilet, they didn't ever want to go back.
I don't doubt it. I've been in some of the trailers, and they're absolutely amazing compared to a regular porta-potty. Now, what did you do first, though? Did you just threw some money in, manufactured the thing, and then decided to rent it out? How'd you test the market? How did you know where to get the perfect price point? Because it's never been done before.
Right. So we threw the money at the manufacturing first. And we figured that we knew enough people in Savannah. Robert and I were both kind of professional people. I was a vice president at a local community bank. He was an environmental engineer. We were fairly prominent on boards that, Savannah's a big outdoor venue place. I mean, we do a lot of things outdoors. And so we just assumed, you know what? Hey, we can pitch this to at least a few people. Somebody will bite. Somebody will take it for granted. If we like it, if we see the benefit of it, other people will see the benefit of it. So price, yes. At the beginning, price was, you didn't know where the price point was. You didn't know the longevity of the trailers. You didn't know any of this stuff. So we were just kind of throwing things out there based on our time, more so than what the actual rental was. And as it got to be more involved and it started to become requested, that is when we started to adjust our price more to market.
Okay. So as of today, what are these? What's the range that they rent out in for 1 day, 2 day, 3 day event?
Our smallest trailer depends upon what city you're in and located in the U.S. Our single stall starts out at around $700 a day. Okay. Of course, it changes from weekly pricing to monthly pricing. So we may have a 3-day price, and then it goes to a week, which is a lot cheaper than your daily rate. So a week may be $1,500 instead. Gotcha. But they range all the way up to $3,500, $4,500 a day, depending upon what model trailer that you get and the services that you're requesting.
Nice. So you started in Savannah, you and a business partner, you start getting some traction, you're putting trailers all over Savannah. When did you get the idea to franchise everything out? And how long before you actually started that process?
That process of expansion happened relatively quickly, but it wasn't initiated by us. It started with our first franchise or our first license, which was Andy Christian out of Florida. He used our facility at a wedding, and through a friend of a friend, he got back to us, and we literally I met him on I-95 as he was headed back to Gainesville, Florida, and we spoke for about 2.5, 3 hours about the business. He wanted to do this. He was in Florida. He said there's nothing like this at all in Florida, and he thinks that he could make a good go of it. And at that point, we were just like, all right, here's the manufacturer. Here's this. He's like, no, I want to share trailers with you. I want the logo. I like the name. You already have a website. I don't have to do anything, but just basically add an address and an email, and we start you up. And that's how it started as a license. And next thing you know, the same thing's happening. We're a destination city. Somebody in Seattle, Washington comes to a tour and they use our facilities. And they're like, we have nothing like this in Seattle. So all of a sudden we go to Seattle. And then we went to Arizona, and then I think we came back to Atlanta, and then we went to California, and then we went to Utah and Texas. And next thing you know, we're kind of all over the place. At that point, though, we were a license. We didn't really have any true structure to our business other than, here's the cleaning, here's the logo, here's our website. we don't have any true identity or structure. It's very loosely held. And I believe it was Maryland at was it the governor's mansion or some type of state funding? We had a trailer up there that they had rented. And on the back of the trailer, it said, for business opportunities, call this number. And lo and behold, that would be the attorney general that called us and told us that we were a franchise and that we were in violation of ethics for advertising in his state.
Oh, wow.
And that put a kibosh on everything, killed all of our momentum. We were not even allowed to respond to any of the inquiries for the entire process until we got our FDD approved. So we finally got it approved in 2008. So we sold a ton in 2006. And then right around beginning of 2007, we got hit. And I think that there was somewhere around 870 or 890 email leads that we couldn't even respond to that said that we can't talk to you.
Oh, wow.
So it really hurt us.
Let me get this straight. Let me try to get this straight. There's an attorney general in Maryland who uses your sanitation device to have a clean experience. And then what he or she does then exits and says, this must be a license. But I'm interpreting this license as an unregistered franchise in our state, and he's not paying the requisite filing fees. Now, if that's not a waste of 3 years of law school, I don't know what is.
Pretty much. It was like they all talked to each other at the same time, because within a month we had registration filings from all over the country, requesting documentation. And I mean, it was such a,
let's look at that as a blessing, because it accelerated your need to have to register as a franchise. So now you're a franchisor and you're selling franchises all over the country.
That we were, except we hit it the wrong time. The bottom kind of had fallen out of the market in 2009, 2010. But we still sold some. We still were moving in the correct area or the proper direction. But by that point, we were so drained that we should have venture, gone with a venture capitalist or partnered with somebody that is a lot more experienced in franchise. Because it seemed like every time we got close to closing a franchise, some franchise attorney for the seller would X this whole thing. And I think that our lesson with that is we should have gone forward with the experts or with the people that are in the business, because it is a closed knit society. I mean, they stick together, and trying to do it organically like we did. Yes, we stayed alive, but we did not grow at the pace that we should have. And especially from the amount of revenue that our individual offices generate, it makes you question why anybody would ever open a different kind of franchise. Because, once we've established ourselves, we do really well in our business.
Where do you find the greatest interest stems from? Is it golfing events? Is it sporting events? Are they amusement parks? Where do you get the greatest lead flow from?
Our greatest lead flow is from wedding planners and small event organizers. Okay. Wedding planners are event planners. They plan multiple events each year. So a lot of our leads come directly from them because we do a good job. Our professional service takes hold of that. They can count on us. And it's something that they don't want to necessarily think about. They want it to be a good experience, because let me tell you, it can be a bad one very quickly if it's not properly done.
What is the Royal Restrooms deluxe model look like? What's all the bling bling and bells and whistles you can offer to a party planner?
So our top of the line is called our vintage restroom trailer, and it is a polished stainless steel mirrored finish on the exterior. It's rounded. It almost brings the background surroundings. It blends into it because of that polished mirror. So whatever tree, shrubbery you have, it blends in. So it's not this white cargo box that you see typically. So you can bring this in a lot closer to your site. It makes it a lot easier on the guest, but also when you go in, it's a much larger interior space. I mean, one of the restrooms you can fit 3 or 4 people, adult males, 200 pounds plus inside the stall. It's also, the entire thing is brushed bronze, so it looks very royal. I guess you can say. So it's almost like you walk in.
It's a
and you're
royal
like,
restroom.
I can't believe that this is a freaking bathroom, and on top of that, it's on a trailer. It's a really wow experience. And not to say that our other restrooms are not. They're all very nice on the inside. The decor, from Corian countertops to granite countertops, they're all luxurious on the inside. But this model, the vintage trailer, really it takes the cake. It's a showstopper.
I'm going to rent one of those for Matt's birthday next year.
There you go.
So you transformed the portable restroom industry, right? 22 years ago. Mm-hmm. Now you're still doing other things in there. You got pitch perfect TVs, Savannah bar carts. What's Airy transit trailers? And let's talk about Kruger Busch campers, how these all came to the brainchild of you.
Yeah, absolutely. So Airy Transit Trailers is kind of my manufacturing company where I build the trailers to test market them out. Mm-hmm. And we do restroom trailers, we do bar trailers, we do office trailers, and we even import some of the small concession trailers. But that main business is just from a manufacturing standpoint. Savannah bar carts, pitch perfect TVs, those two businesses I hope will end up being feeder companies for Royal Restrooms. So I'm testing those markets. I'm testing these products to make sure that we get it right before we roll it completely out into Royal Restrooms. The beverage carts are already in a few of our Royal Restroom markets in Texas and Alabama and out in Washington State, and Colorado and Utah as well. But all of those smaller projects are aimed for the events industry because it's needs that I've seen over the years working events. When we do an auto show.
What exactly is a pitch perfect TV?
So it is a high definition LED TV screen. So it's 10 feet. It's a 10-foot LED TV, but it's high definition. In other words, it's a P 2.7 pitch. So that resolution, you can stand 5 feet from it and it's a TV. The further back you stand, it's even better. But we've used it for movie nights, for graduations, for sporting events. People rent them at their home. When the college football game's on, Super Bowl, even March Madness. It's just a large, high definition screen, which also goes along with my restrooms. Like I said, the example with an auto show, you've got, or even a horse show or something like that. You have a use for screens from other areas to show other people what's going on. The beverage carts, if you're rolling out trailers instead of using tents, this has got something that's secure. It's locked up. You have a sink. You have a refrigerator. You've got an actual legit ice storage bin. But not only that, it's attractive. It's not just a tent like everything else. It's something to draw the crowd in. We also are testing out freezer trailers and refrigeration trailers and office trailers as well.
Very nice. Yeah, I've seen the pictures of the bar carts, and they're super nice. I really like them. So, Lou, it's not a cart. I thought it was just a cart. It's actually a trailer. It's a portable bar, essentially. That looks really good from the outside. It's really cool. So you got a lot going on. What's next for you?
Well, like you mentioned, Kruger Busch Campers. That's kind of been a hobby, and it's taken off, and it's gotten some traction where it's like I've got to put a little more into it because things have, gotten a little more attractive with it. We were just at the 2025 New York International Auto Show up there for their Overland weekend. That was a lot of fun. I mean, it was incredible. But the main goal behind that is, spending time with your family. It's getting outdoors. My reset has always been get out in the woods, or else if I'm anywhere else, I feel like I've got to take care of something if there's a problem. And camping, being out in the road, being out in the wilderness, I can reset. I can think about what's going on. I can develop, new ideas or work through problems that I do have and come to good solutions. But camping, where else are you going to find family bonds like that? You got a captive audience right there at the grill, the campfire. Everybody's working together. It's just a great teaching moment with my children and bonding moments with my children because let's face it, I go to Disney World or I go on any other vacation. My kids are on their phone. We're still not 100% connected, but doing something cool and unique got their attention.
I love it. So, David, why don't you tell everybody where they can actually find Royal Restrooms and Kruger Busch Campers, and they can find you on the socials?
Yeah, absolutely. So we're on all the different social platforms under Royal Restrooms, under Kruger Busch Campers, Savannah Bar Carts. Our websites are, just as they say, royalrestrooms.com, krugerbuschcampers.com. And I can be found on LinkedIn under David Sauers.
Awesome. David, thank you so much. I do have one question before I let you run. When was the first time you noticed people starting to copy your product that you came to market with?
That would have been shortly after we got in trouble in Maryland.
Okay.
When people realized that we weren't responding to them, I don't know if it was from the fact that we didn't respond, and they liked our idea and they wanted to do what it was that we were doing. That's when a lot more people took notice of what we had. And that's when we kind of started to see a lot of copycats.
Wow.
But I, for one, I'm not afraid of the competition because the more people are aware of our product and service, the better it seems that we are. And the more calls that we get, it's almost like that. You put 5 coffee shops together and all of a sudden everybody wants coffee now. It just the total awareness of it brings it full circle back to Royal Restrooms. And that's one of the things that I'm most excited about moving forward.
Awesome. Well, David, thank you so much for being here. Everybody, that's a wrap of the Liquid Lunch Project. We'll catch you on the next episode.
Let's go!